Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to DeKalb Dems, Meet the Candidate Forum. It's our third one in preparation for the May 21st election. And tonight, we're focusing on school board candidates in districts 3 and 5 here in DeKalb County. We're live streaming on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. DeKalb Dems is a volunteer-based organization, and we ask for your financial support to enable us to continue our Get Out the Vote effort. You can help make a difference when you join DeKalb Dems as a member or attend our upcoming Blue Ballot fundraising event on June 22nd, when we honor Senator Gloria Butler and CEO Michael Thurman. We need your help so that we can continue to produce quality voter education content as in this forum tonight. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our leader, Brandy Weish, Chair of DeKalb County Democratic Committee. Brandy.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you for everyone for being here this evening. Thank you to Steve and all of our volunteers who have worked diligently to put on these forums. And also thank you to our candidates for being here with us this evening. We are very happy to have you. If you have watched one of our forums, you have heard me say this, but I will continue to reiterate it. While we can easily focus on federal elections, it is our local elections here in DeKalb that make some of the biggest impact in each of our lives. And tonight you are going to hear from candidates for our school board races. And this is a very important election in each of these districts. And so it's going to be great to hear from each of them about their platforms and what they are looking to do in our school districts here in DeKalb. I also want to introduce our moderator for this evening. I'm very excited to introduce Caroline Amon. Caroline, her first post-college job was as an elementary school teacher. Following 5 years of teaching, she joined the Peace Corps, where she taught English in Mongolia to students ranging from kindergarten through high school. From these experiences, she knew her mission was to work with children to support literacy and academic growth. When Carolyn returned to the U.S., she continued to work with children, both as a K-5 computer teacher and then as a private academic counselor for students struggling with reading, ADHD, and other learning differences. Through her work as an educator, Caroline realized that many children, primarily those living in underserved areas, lose several months of learning every year, particularly in the area of reading. After doing some research, she concluded that some of this learning loss is attributable to the lack of books available to children in underserved areas. To serve this need, Carolyn founded and operates the nonprofit Beloved Books Book Mobile. The Book Mobile is a mobile library that provides books to children living in underserved areas here in DeKalb County. We are very excited to have Caroline with us here today as our moderator, and I am going to pass it over to her to kick us off for this evening.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Steve, for all your hard work with this and all the volunteers behind the scenes, and of course the candidates for showing up. The DeKalb County School District is Georgia's third largest school system. Under the leadership of the superintendent and the Board of Education, they prepare students for college and careers through a laser focus on rigorous, relevant classroom instruction related to each child's needs. The district serves over 92,000 students, 138 plus schools and centers, and 14,000 employees, including 6,600 teachers. Students and parents speak over 166 languages and represent over 155 nations. DeKalb County School District is a leader in STEM STEAM curriculum with 32 certified STEM STEAM schools and programs. School choice options are available in nearly 50 schools to include theme, magnet, IB, charter, and Montessori options. School board members are locally elected public officials entrusted with governing public schools in the community. While school board members are elected as individuals, they serve as part of a governance team, one which includes each board member and the superintendent. I am now going to explain the ground rules. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to make an opening statement. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer questions. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to make a closing statement. This is a forum and not a debate. And the focus will be on the issues and policies. I'm going to introduce the candidates. From District 3, we have Board Member Deidre Pierce. Also from District 3 is Miss Deidre Russell Wright. From District 5, we have Miss Tiffany Tate Hogan and Miss Donna Priest Brown. We have extended invitations to all the candidates. And these are the candidates that were able to join us tonight. At this time, I would like to ask that we begin with opening statements. And I'm going to begin with Board Member Deidre Pierce.
And good evening, and thank you, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I am Deidre P. Pierce, and I am currently the board member for District 3. I've had the opportunity and honor of serving actually for the last 3 years and 4 months. Not only am I on the board as a board member, I also serve as the vice chair, and I have done so for the last 2 years. Also, I serve as the chair of the audit committee on our board. And all of those are very important tasks, and I'm very, very honored to serve and thankful for that. I also have lived in the community for 49 years, actually. And I've been an advocate for public education for well over 30 years. And I do repeat myself when I say that when my children graduated from high school, I never did. So advocacy has been something that I've been doing for many, many years, and specifically for the DeKalb County Board of Education and DeKalb County School District. I have great faith in it. I know it can be great, and I want to continue to do my part to do whatever I can to make it even better. So I'm thankful for this opportunity, looking forward to this reelection, and I'm thankful for all of you being present.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Deidre Wright, a resident of South DeKalb for just about all of my life. I am a graduate of Southwest DeKalb High School and attended open campus because of the difficulties that I had faced while maneuvering through the school system. And the issues that I felt compelled to address is the reason why I am running for office now. And it's the reason why I became a teacher, to create a safe space for my kids, the space that I didn't have all the time in school. And I know that I am needed beyond the classroom to ensure the students within my community have safe spaces. And I'm a mother, I'm a parent. 2 of my girls went through the DeKalb County school system. I also, as you know, am a teacher in my community. And my focus goals are to ensure that schools are safe, to make sure that we are retaining teachers and we are giving them all the support that they need, making sure that the curriculum is adjusted to fit the needs of all students and not just a few. Make sure that we bring programming to our community to give our students the services that they need. And that's who I am. I'm just really fed up. I'm frustrated. We're losing so many of our youth. The graduation rates are low. Reading comprehension levels are low in the school. The amount of students who are college and career ready are low. And it's time for a change. And as my students would say, I'm standing on business to make that change.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First, I would like to thank the DeKalb County Democratic Committee for the invitation this evening to speak. My name is Tiffany Tate Hogan, and I am a candidate for the DeKalb County Board of Education, District 5. As a graduate of DeKalb County Schools and an educator for almost 29 years, I'm running to continue the legacy of educational excellence for current and future students of DeKalb County Schools. I've lived in South DeKalb for over 40 years, and I'm committed to providing a high-quality education for our students, as well as improving our community as a whole. As a board member, I would support the superintendent and his initiatives to improve the educational outcomes for our students through his Miracles framework, as well as supporting the strategic plan that they just updated. And it is my hope that you will be informed by this evening, and I hope you will see why I'm the best candidate to represent you in District 5. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also from District 5, we have Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown?
Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Priest Brown.
That's fine. That's fine. Good evening, DeKalb Dems, candidates, and community members. My name is Donna Priest Brown, and I have lived in DeKalb County, Lithonia/Stonecrest for 28 years since arriving from New York 28 years ago. I am truly grateful for the chance to engage in discussion today where I can shed light on my extensive community involvement and professional background. Throughout my journey, my commitment to education, empowerment, and community engagement has remained steadfast, whether through leadership roles within the Boy Scouts of America, where my son is now an Eagle Scout, or active engagement in various educational organizations. My goal has always been to uplift and empower individuals within our community. Throughout my school engagement tenure with DeKalb County School District, I have built strong relationships with the superintendent, starting with Dr. Cheryl Atkinson, interim Ramona Tyson, Michael Thurman, Dr. Stephen Green, Dr. Cheryl Watson-Harris, interim Dr. Tinsley, and now Dr. Horton. I have actively collaborated with these school leaders on a monthly and quarterly basis to drive positive change in our communities. With over 25 years of extensive community service and education, city government, church, and community activities, I have remained consistent and reliable in my dedication to serve my community. With 24 years of accounting and finance experience, including management, a portfolio ranging from $5 billion to $20 billion at AT&T, I'm well equipped to effectively assess school district financial audits and budgets. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Priest Brown. At this time, we're going to begin the questions. I'm going to start the questions with Board Member Pierce. We'll go in order: Board Member Pierce, Ms. Wright, Ms. Hogan, Ms. Priest Brown, and then we'll switch the order. So our first question is, what differentiates you from the other candidates and or board members? Board Member Pierce.
Yes, thank you for the question. And as I said earlier in my introduction, I'm currently serving on the board. When I came on board in 2021, we were pretty much in COVID. So for 2 years, I was serving with the team at that time and trying to work through some very long, tedious nights, trying to figure out how to go back to school, when to go back to school, what is this we're dealing with, and take everyone's emotions into consideration. The thing that I think differentiates me as well is being on here for 3 years, well, 3 years and actually 4 months now. I've been through all of this. And many of the things that we're talking about, academics, safety, social, emotional learning, things of that nature, I've been through all of that. Hiring the last superintendent, who is Dr. Horton, has been a huge benefit to our school district. I'm very thankful for that. And I look forward to many, many more opportunities to increase our student achievement, keep our schools safe, as well as make our communities available to us.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Wright?
All right, hello. What differentiates me from everybody is, as I kind of shared in the beginning, I didn't have the typical, cookie cutter school experience. I experienced a lot of setbacks and hardships. And even as a teacher, my perspective, I come with a on the ground, in the field perspective. I am a grassroots type organizer. I'm a meet the people where they're at, wherever they're at type person. And I don't see that. So I think that might differentiate me. But everybody has a place because everybody is called to reach somebody. And so I know that my perspective is unique to me because of the experiences that I've had and the experiences that I bring to the table as a parent and a teacher and a community activist. And so I bring all of that. And so that's what makes me different.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. No, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Wright. Now we'll go to Ms. Hogan.
Okay, I think I'm muted. Okay, so I believe that I'm uniquely qualified for this position because I have quite a few years of experience in education. I'm right now at 29 years and I'm rapidly approaching retirement. And throughout the years, I've served in a variety of positions in several school districts throughout the metro area. Also, specifically DeKalb County, I served as a teacher at Redan High School, a teacher at MLK, as well as Lithonia High Schools. I have an intimate knowledge of how schools work through my roles as a teacher, an assistant principal, a central office personnel, and a clinical assistant professor of educational leadership in a local university. I do have several advanced degrees in science education, as well as a certificate in educational leadership, as well as a PhD in educational policy studies that I feel will support the knowledge, support what I need to know as a school board member. As a teacher and assistant principal, I have been required to implement school board policies and understand the impact board policies have on student learning. So I've been on the ground, I understand it, I've held the positions, and I know the impact of board policy on schools. So I believe that this background will allow me to help create policy and revise policy that is fair, equitable, and just for our students, teachers, and staff members. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Priest Brown?
What sets me apart? First of all, I'm retired and ready. So what sets me apart from the other candidates is my extensive history of active community leadership spanning over the past 20 years since arriving here in Georgia. Throughout this time, I have been deeply involved in various education, school, and city government committees, actively contributing to the betterment of my community, our community. My dedication to community service within my community has been steadfast, with consistent involvement and no breaks in my commitment over the years. Given the diverse roles and responsibilities of school board member, I bring with me a wealth of experience that aligns with many of these duties. I have 24 years of experience in accounting and finance, including audited and budgeting. I have conducted facility audits, developed and audited policies and procedures, overseen the hiring and evaluation of employees, and created guidelines for employee self-assessments. Thank you.
Thank you. For our second question, I will start with Ms. Wright. And the question is, have you received any donations or endorsements from any groups? And if so, what groups? Ms. Wright.
No, I have not. I have co-founded the Black Teachers Literary Society, and they support me, but because we are all broke teachers. No, I have not. No.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Hogan?
Yes, no, not at this time. I have not received any. I'm not at liberty to say I don't think of any endorsements that I have received, but I will make any announcements when I'm able to do so. Thank you.
Ms. Priest Brown?
No, I haven't either. And when I do, I will make the announcement to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Pierce?
No, I have not from any source.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go on to the next question. How can the board be accessible to specific community groups? And we'll start with Ms. Hogan.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So community engagement is extremely important. I believe that when you are engaging the community, you have to meet people where they are. As a former school administrator, as well as a teacher, I understand that sometimes our community members, our parents, our guardians, those who support the students may not feel comfortable coming to school events. If as a board member, I'm holding town hall meetings, and I want to be there, the board member who meets my constituents where they are. And so if that means that if it is allowed, that if I have to go to recreational centers or parks or wherever I can engage them in the process, then I would gladly do so. And making sure that I'm communicating to them through either newsletters, keeping parents informed through virtual meetings, or just by telephone or email communication. I think engagement and communicating and meeting people where they are so that they can engage in their child's schooling and be a part of this process is very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we'll go to Ms. Priest Brown.
Yes, I love this question. The board can enhance accessibility to specific community groups through regular communication channels such as digital newsletters, texting, email blasts, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, town hall meetings, and by attending events like recreation centers and school sporting events. Consistency in these efforts is crucial for fostering engagement and trust in the community. Additionally, special meetups could be organized by board members to accommodate groups such as seniors or parents who may face challenges attending regular meetings like teacher-parent meetings or PTA gatherings. Furthermore, board members can bolster collaboration with community groups by co-hosting community meetings and events, thereby cultivating mutually beneficial win-win situations through strategic partnerships. Finally, it is crucial for school board members to follow through with requests or questions from parents until the issue or situation is fully resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Pierce.
And thank you for the question. I agree, it's equally as important as the rest. Normally what I do is I make myself available to any group that connects with me. They contact me, call me, whatever. I am always available. Anytime anyone calls me, I do return my calls. I have a newsletter as well. Of course, you know, when groups, it just depends on the community group and what they are looking for. Because many times as a board member, I can bring whoever needs to come to a meeting. For instance, if it's a curriculum conversation, I have the opportunity of inviting others from that department to come along with me to answer any kinds of questions. I will also answer questions. I don't leave it to just whomever I've invited, but I answer them myself. So I'm always accessible in all the manners that we have. I heard the candidates speak of having town hall meetings, which I've had 5, and invite anyone and everyone to attend. And it's extremely informative, but of course it has to be something that people want to come to. So I'm very cognizant of that.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Oh, I love this question. I'm in District 3 and I've never received any newsletters, so I hope to implement newsletters out to my people. I want to also implement an advisory council for each of the districts to host monthly meetings with community members and stakeholders. I want to distribute these newsletters and have cafe chats at restaurants in my district to meet the community where they're at. It's similar to what I've been doing as I've ran this election. I have dialogue with Deidre moments at different local businesses in the community. And so that's what I would do. Community is important. Input is important. Communication is important.
Thank you. The next question, what issues do you believe your district needs to address in its academic program and offerings, and what changes would you recommend? We'll start with Ms. Priest Brown.
Yes, thanks for the question. The following programs should be considered to enhance student achievement and success in DeKalb County School District. Robust reading and literacy programs. Schools should implement evidence-based strategies like phonics, differentiate instruction to meet diverse learning needs, provide a variety of high-quality reading materials, and offer ongoing professional development for teachers in literacy instruction. Expanded tutorial services. increase the tutoring accessibility with options like one-on-one, small group, and pair tutoring aligned with the curriculum. Ensure all students, regardless of socioeconomic status, can access these services. Summer bridge programs, I miss those. To combat summer learning loss, especially in disadvantaged students, implement enrichment programs that mix academic content with activities in arts, science, and sports, and involve families to support education continuity. Lastly, innovative extracurricular programs, board and extracurricular offerings to include diverse activities such as robotics, environmental science, and community service, ensuring inclusivity and enhancing college and career readiness. Thank you for the question.
Oh, thank you. Board Member Pierce?
And thank you again for that question. It's very timely. What the district is doing currently, we have not had a curriculum audit in probably a decade or longer. So we do realize that we have a different population currently, and what we're offering may or may not be relevant to the population that we're serving right now. So the superintendent has established a student assessment and assignment committee that's going to be taking a look at all of these types of things, because even with our magnet programs, all the summer programs, everything that we're offering and have been offering has to fit the population that we're serving currently. So unfortunately, sometimes we have things that have carried over from many, many years ago that are not relevant to our current population. So it's extraordinarily important that we are now taking that hard look at everything that we're offering so that it's relevant and important and beneficial to our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wright?
All right. So, where do I start with this? My top three concerns, I would say, is culturally responsive training for teachers and for staff, and access to educational resources that are culturally responsive, right? Literacy building, life skills training, tutorial. My students don't have access to tutorial. Variety of interest for students, from college preparatory to technical trade. I think that's very important for us to give them real skills that can get them real money and real jobs when they leave our schools. And so those programs need to definitely be revamped.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Hogan.
Okay, thank you for the question. So what I would focus on, I think what we need to focus on is, of course, literacy, which has been mentioned. I know that currently the superintendent and his administration are focusing on one of the top priority that I would have for District 5. As of, I think, last year, the Georgia Early Literacy Act was passed. And I know by July 1st of next year, all K through 3 third grade teachers will have to complete a state-approved training literacy program. But if I'm correct, I do remember that DeKalb County teachers have completed their science of reading training, which is very important that we know that DeKalb County is ahead of the timeline for having this completed. So that is wonderful. So as a board member, I would continue to support this initiative through budget approvals for specifically additional personnel, as well as maybe even creating literacy policies. Additional personnel is very important for those teachers that are specifically focused on reading K2, definitely first grade where students are learning how to read, and having perhaps additional personnel such as paraprofessionals to assist teachers on teaching students in how to read. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fifth question. What should your school district do better to prepare students as citizens? And we'll start with Board Member Pierce.
And thank you very much for that question. I've always been a proponent of civic education, voter education, not just voter registration, which we do very, very well, but it's just a matter of having the educational part that we don't really spend enough time on. So this year, of course, we were able to have a teacher who sponsored voter education drives, and he's going to do that a little bit later for the fall as well, to make sure that our young people understand what they're voting for, what the positions are, how they relate to them. So this is something that is not just a semester, this is ongoing. And I'm really very excited about that, and encouraging our superintendent to consider putting it in our curriculum so that it is a regular ongoing occurrence and not just some special occurrence when we have elections.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Wright?
All right. So as a teacher, I hear everything, right? As a mommy, I hear everything. And students don't feel as if their voices are affirmed, respected, and heard. And they feel as if they have no say-so in their education. And we should model democracy, right? And the process in our schools more. To teach them about how systems and governments and how they work and they operate, so they'll be able to effectively advocate for themselves within school and outside of school. We have to also teach our children empathy and respect of differences and how to work in collaboration to benefit our community, and put all of our issues to the side. These skills help to prepare our students to thrive and not just get by. We don't want them to just get by anymore. We want them to be able to thrive. So this is what our district needs to help them prepare to be more effective citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan?
Yes, thank you for the question. So I'm going back to just thinking about this question in terms of when I was a teacher and administrator, and thinking about some of the needs of the students. And so in order for us to get to that space where we can have students engage in the democratic process, in voting, and being a part of school government, we have to start with where students are. And in some instances, in some schools where I've worked, our students we need to start with meeting the social and emotional needs of our students. Starting there first, teaching them how to respond to other students, and working on what do you do when you don't agree with something another student has said. How do we engage in conversation with people who have different experiences with us? And so I think in some schools, we may have to start there and then build upon that on other skills.
Thank you.
So I would say,
thank you so much. We need to move on. We need to move on to Ms. Priest-Brown.
Yes, two key programs that should be considered to prepare students as citizens would be a civics curriculum, which covers topics such as government structures and civic responsibilities, and a global awareness curriculum, which enhances understanding of global issues and promotes cultural sensitivity. My organization, the South DeKalb Parent Council, initiated the Civics 101 program to promote civic engagement in South DeKalb several years ago, and we continue to do it today. And the response has been overwhelmingly positive. These meetings cover a wide range of topics, including candidate forums, parents' rights and responsibilities, property tax calculations, get out the vote initiative, superintendent updates, AI 101 listening sessions, and many more. Global awareness is another one. On the other hand, it fosters an understanding of global issues and perspectives, aiding students in becoming well-informed and empathetic global citizens, in which this is a part of my platform. I advocate for global exploration, having traveled with students to Europe and Africa since 2012. My neighbor is the interim superintendent of APS, and she shared with me that APS is allocating $400,000 for international travel for their students next school year. I hope DeKalb County will also consider similar initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the sixth question. What are your areas of concern regarding student achievement in your district, and how would you address them? Ms. Wright.
Again, within my district, the graduation rates are low. And so we have to figure out what's going on there. Based off the CCPRI data, the students aren't ready for college or career, and I believe it. The literacy, their reading scores are low. And so implementing some sort of programs to help, again, tutorial services, because they're not prevalent at the schools that my children attend. They can't just go after school and get help. And I don't know if they're offering stipends to buffer the teachers to stay after. So we need to start to implement these programs to help deal with some of these deficits that we're facing.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Yes. One of my areas of concern is the number of students who are proficient or above on the ELA and math portion of the Georgia milestones. There were new math standards for this year, and so we probably will not see the results of these assessments until later. And there will be new standards for ELA. But I know that as a part of the new strategic plan, the district is going to focus on supporting quality teaching and learning by providing a relevant and rigorous course of study. And so I would support that. And I believe that since we have something in place, a framework in place, I should hope to see improvement in these areas in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Priest-Brown.
Reading and literacy are critical concerns for me in enhancing student achievement in our school district, because if you can't read, you can't do math, you can't do science, you can't do social studies, you can't do language arts. And in DeKalb County schools, average reading performance is 60.2% in the last assessments, last year's 2023 assessments. So I believe the following is needed to implement an integrated literacy curriculum that starts early and includes diverse, high-quality reading materials, provide ongoing training for teachers on the latest literacy teaching methods to ensure effective instruction. Like Tiffany mentioned, that House Bill 538, sponsored by Bethany Ballard, the science of reading. Thirdly, establish targeted literacy interventions for students at different skill levels, utilizing evidence-based strategies to address the specific needs. Increase family engagement and literacy through workshops and home reading programs to support learning outside of the schoolhouse. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Board Member Pierce.
And thank you so very much. We are doing a lot of things in DeKalb County. We've not done a great many things right consistently sometimes when it comes to achievement. However, we are on a different pathway. We have student success centers that are going to be addressing within the school day, and it's already set in the school day for students to get additional doses of whatever they need in some of our core subjects. We also have in student achievement our early learning centers. You know, we talk about how that starts early. Our 3- and 4-year-old students, we have an early learning center a lot of people don't know about. So we are doing things that are trying to enhance the achievement levels of our students. Now, for those that are already in maybe I won't call it a crisis, but are in need, we have wraparound services. We also have our tutoring. We have our CTAE pathways that are also very helpful. So we will continue to enhance that and take a look at everyone's achievement levels and do the very best we can to improve them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And our seventh question before we take questions from the audience is, how would you determine your budget priorities? And I'm going to start with Ms. Hogan.
Hey, thank you for the question. Determining the budget priorities should be made based on the goals that are listed in the strategic plan. And by working with the superintendent as well as his administration, I would, and of course, working with the other members of the board, we would ensure that the priorities that are selected, the budget priorities that are selected, focus on what has the most impact on student achievement. And that's the key, what has the most impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Priest-Brown,
Is this the last question?
how would you determine your budget priorities?
Okay, that's the last question.
Yes, ma'am.
I would determine my budget priorities by using the following steps. Evaluate the district's critical needs by analyzing performance data, set student feedback, and staff input. Secondly, I would ensure the budget aligns with the district's long-term educational goals and strategic plan. Thirdly, gather input from various stakeholders, including teachers, parents, and community members to understand the broader needs and expectations. Fourthly, conduct cost-benefit analysis of potential expenditures to prioritize investments that offer the highest returns in terms of student outcomes. And finally, maintain flexibility to adjust for unexpected needs or changes in funding sources. This approach ensures that budgeting is comprehensive, goal-oriented, and responsive to the district's educational priorities.
Thank you very much. Board Member Pierce.
And thank you very much. And I believe Ms. Tate Hogan mentioned the strategic plan. That is the key. That's the roadmap that we follow. The bulk of our money and our budget goes to operations as well. We're preferably, first of all, instruction and then operations, because you want to make sure that we are offering and have the tools that the students need to be successful. And we also need to make sure that our school buildings are safe, warm, and dry, to coin a phrase from our COO. We have to make sure that we have places that are safe. So we invest in safety. We've got to make sure that people want to come to work. Our employees want to come to work. And when they do come to work, they want to feel safe. So those are priorities that we must address, and we are addressing, and we will continue to do so.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Thank you to all the ladies in the room. You said everything that I wanted to say, but I have to add a little flavor. I would most definitely include a finance event advisory board. I serve on the one in Clayton County, and I love it as a teacher. And so I was able to oversee that budget and give input. And so I think we need to implement something like that here in DeKalb County, where we bring community members, staff, students, parents, and teachers to the table to see what's going on with our finances in DeKalb County and to allocate where we need to go. We need community input.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to take questions from the audience. Steve, can you repost that question? I couldn't see all of it.
There's some questions in the chat.
Okay.
6:43.
Okay.
Do we just jump in?
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Steve. That was really helpful. The first question from the audience is, do you think a model that utilizes master teachers with streaming services can enhance the instruction received across the county? I'm going to start with Ms. Priest-Brown.
Can you just repeat the question again?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do you think a model that utilizes master teachers with streaming services can enhance the instruction received across the county?
Yes, because I would imagine that these teachers could be, out of the state, out of the county, out of the state, out of the country. I think that would be a great benefit to the school district. It gives more resources, more capacity to student learning. And that's a great idea to do something like, to do something like that. Yes, for sure.
Wonderful, thank you. Board Member Pierce, and I'm happy to repeat the question if you'd like.
No, and that's fine. I do understand it. The master teachers and the streaming opportunity, that is a great idea. But all of that type of thing is considered day-to-day operations, and it would have to go through the superintendent as well as being thrashed out with our curriculum and instruction department. When board members bring things like that to the table, it's not a problem to bring suggestions like that. But it's just that we have to allow our one employee, who is the superintendent, to make the decision on how that needs to look, if it's something that would be beneficial. And he would get with again, the curriculum instruction department, all of them that would be involved with this, and then make a decision as to whether or not it would be beneficial, and then talk to the CFO in terms of finance.
Thank you. Ms.
Well-
Wright.
All right, me and this mute button. I'm not sure if I would. I think it's a wonderful idea. Right. How would I say this? My daughter right now is participating in a program with Clayton County, where they have allowed funding for students to get tutorial from these tutorial centers with these master teachers to help break down concepts for them. And so each student received, I believe, $1,500 per year to help supplement. And so I think that could be beneficial if it was done after school or maybe in hubs or parent. I'm not sure. I haven't done enough research on it to answer it and be fully for it.
Thank you. Our second question. How often do you visit the high schools in your districts? I'm going to start with Board Member Pierce.
I visit frequently, and mainly I visit upon invitation. Board members do not just show up at schools. We have to go by virtue of an invitation. We many times don't just go for events and whatnot. Sometimes we'll go in if they're having a conversation about something or would like us to meet with some particular group, that type of thing. But the school, it initiates an invitation for a board member to come. But I do visit my schools upon invitation, in advance of school starting in July, late July, and as well as anytime they request my presence, I make my way to be there and make myself available.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Wright?
Okay. Well, I don't have any children in the high school, but I did attend the last community forum at Columbia High School. And so I was there, and whenever the community is putting on a play or something, but I have been in Columbia a lot because it's right down the street from my house. But whenever I'm invited, I would come, but I haven't been.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan?
Recently, let's see, the last time I visited a high school, I wasn't there during the day, but I did go to Southwest DeKalb to participate in the strategic plan focus group. And I've been to some of the high schools in terms of town hall meetings here in DeKalb. I did participate or assist just as a volunteer at one of the high school football games. They just wanted extra volunteers as far as the extra pair of eyes there at the game just to support the students. And so I have done that. I work with high school individuals in another high school assistant principals in another school district. So I do work with high schools quite often. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Priest Brown?
Yes, I would say out of I think there's 22 high schools in DeKalb County School District. I've visited all with the exception of 2. And again, as Deirdre Pierce mentioned, is by invitation only. You just don't show up. But so I've been to all but 2.
Thank you. Our next question for y'all. What strategies would you put forth to raise awareness on ACEs, and that is adverse childhood experiences? These experiences have been proven to be aligned to mental health and trauma for educators, students, parents, and other stakeholders. And so I think the question is just basically, what strategies would you put forth to raise awareness? And I'm going to start with Miss Wright.
This is good. So, I can, in my school, in my classroom, I've intentionally created a very safe space, where students feel safe. You know, if they've had a horrible, if they're breaking down and they're melting down, they can come to my space. I have mixed seating and everything. I mean, it's just, I have aromatherapy. It's just what I create. So I like this idea of safe centers within the school. So I think creating more spaces like that, making sure that the students are connected with the counselors and support services that they need when they're having this. And I think that will require us to hire more counselors and have connections with more therapists on campus. But I think that would help address that. I'm really big on mental health care. I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to be able to make these community partnerships to have our children the support that they need and when they need it. So that is how I would deal with it.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Yes, that's a great question. Some strategies to put forth. Again, I agree with Ms. Wright in terms of this. You have to have the support services for the students, be it counseling, be it therapists, social emotional learning. I love the idea of the Zen rooms, and just making our parents aware of what is being offered in the schools in terms of supporting their students' needs as they have social and emotional issues that may come up. And so any of those strategies, things that I, as a former administrator, I've used in schools as well, counseling support, just quiet spaces for the student. I have used those as strategies to help students experiencing trauma. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Priest Brown.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, ma'am. What strategies would you put forth to raise awareness on ACEs, which ACEs stands for adverse childhood experiences that have been proved, those experiences that have been proven to be aligned to mental health and trauma?
Okay, one would be more wraparound services in regards to more resources with the counselors, social workers, psychologists. Also, I would encourage families, and I agree with what all the other three ladies stated, but I would also add that I would encourage, outside support too for mental health services. I would definitely encourage that to parents for their students. So that's all I have to add to that conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Pierce.
And thank you very much. And again, I do need to also agree with my fellow candidates here regarding certain types of spaces. We actually have a very, very rigorous support services department. When things come up in terms of us making suggestions, again, we bring those suggestions to the superintendent. He takes them to the right departments and they do what they need to do, and they'll bring it back to us if they've come up with a plan or a company and whatnot. We do a great deal of work with Chris 180. We also work with Emory University. We actually have our safe centers that are in many schools, and we can't necessarily put them in all schools because of the space issue. Those safe centers are student and family engagement centers, and we do have the Zen room. I do believe Ms. Wright mentioned that, or someone mentioned it. Those are areas where you can kind of come and decompress. It's not just for students, but it's for our faculty, staff, even community members can come in, family members and that type of thing. So whatever it takes, we will do it. And we are actively on an everyday basis, if you will, working with social and emotional challenges. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Our third question from the audience. How do you plan to use state data to improve student academic outcomes, and what would that actually look like? I'm going to start with Ms. Hogan.
Okay, great question. How would I use the data? Well, I am a data person, and so data driven, data is very important. And so one thing that we would have to do is take a look. We have a lot of data out there, and so we would have to look at the right data, but we have to look at the data in a certain way. The superintendent has mentioned equity a lot within the strategic plan and within his Miracles framework. And so we have to make sure that in order to be equitable in serving all of our students, we have to break down the information or disaggregate the data based on our demographic groups, looking at it in terms of race and ethnicity, our students with disabilities, our students who have English as a second language, in addition to social economics, and look at the data that way so then we can better target which students need assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Priest-Brown?
Yes. My organization, South DeKalb Improvement Association Education, Inc., one of the things we do annually, we do a total data dump of the from the Department of Education, the CCRPI assessment data. We do a total dump on that information. And years ago, I want to say 8 years ago, we used that data to determine which communities we were going to work in, what clusters we were going to work in. And we used McNair Academy because it was like in the 40th percentile. And what we did with that data is we partnered with the school house, McNair Learning Center, to have our volunteers, retired teachers, go into the school and work with those students weekly. And what we found over a 3-year period, we saw those scores go up by 5 points. 5 points. So that's how I would use the data. And the data, data is very important, and it tells the story on how students are doing. Thank you. Sorry for that long.
No, you're good. Thank you. Board Member Pierce?
Thank you very much. We have a young lady that actually has not been with us a very long time, but she's actually over the Office of Accountability and Continuous Improvement. She eats, sleeps, and drinks data. We as a board, whenever she brings reports, we actually ask her, okay, you bring the data to us, how many students is that? How is it affecting? What are we purchasing in terms of all of the programs that we have? How is it affecting students? How many students? Where are they located? The ethnicity, all of those types of factors. She loves that. And we're very thankful for her to bring that information to us because we haven't always looked at it like that. We also take a look at when we've had the town halls. When I had my town halls, we did them by cluster. I asked her to bring all the good, the bad, the ugly, and the improving opportunities for our different clusters in District 3, because I wanted people to understand exactly what we were dealing with and explain it in a way so that it was very, very palatable and people could understand it. So we are outcomes based. We want to know in incremental growth. That is extraordinarily important with all across the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wright?
I would use the data to throw it out. No, I would use the data to figure out how we can get programming and funding for the programming that we need to help support our kids in the right way. I jokingly said throw it out because I know that data doesn't paint the entire picture, especially when you come from our demographics, when schools are graded and rated on student attendance and all these other factors that the kids have no control over. I was sharing with my husband because, we are from Atlanta, born and raised. And if I remember back in the day, students didn't return back to school until after Labor Day because that's when parents had money to send them back to school. The students don't have running water. They're not going to come to class and school. So we have to deal with the root of the issue and not look so much closely at the data, but what's the background behind it. So we have to pull even further into the data to figure out what sort of support our students need in programming.
Thank you. The next question from the audience. What are your views about wraparound services and how they are prioritized regarding budget and access? I'm going to start with Ms. Priest-Brown.
The first part of it is, what are your DUES?
What are your views,
Oh, I'm
VIWS,
sorry. Can you just
about
repeat?
wraparound services and how they are prioritized regarding budget and access?
I think it's needed because some of the services that wraparound services provided is not in the school district. So is an extension of our support that is needed for our students and families. So I definitely for me it's a benefit and an asset to the school district. So those are my thoughts on wraparound services.
Thank you. Ms. Priest-Brown?
That was her.
That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Board Member Pierce.
Thank you. Again, wraparound services are a necessity because we don't have all the answers. So it's always good to collaborate with other professionals. And again, like I mentioned previously about being outcomes based, we don't just approve things just to be approving them. If a company is going to come in and provide wraparound services, we definitely want to have a report probably within maybe a quarterly or something like that to make sure that whatever they are offering is actually being of benefit to the students. And that's very, very important. We can invite anybody in, but we want to make sure that whoever comes in offers the kinds of services that we need. And also we want to see how many students it has helped, if it has, how to enhance it, and what to look forward to for the next time, considering whatever it is that they're offering. We want to make sure that we are being very good stewards of our finances and not just purchasing programs. We want to see some outcomes as well from everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Oh, wraparound services are indeed needed. I don't know how I would bring it to the board. We need to get these partnerships outside of our district to come in and help. I was familiar. I don't know if you guys have heard of a program called Create Your Dreams. It was started in Perry Homes, and this group nurtured and mentored and poured into students from third grade all the way into high school. 100% of them graduated high school. 98% went on first generation college students and got a college degree. Those services were needed. They gave them support, they gave them exposure, and it was a nonprofit. So I think we need to make intentional strides to make these connections with nonprofits to bring them to our district to help us help our babies.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Yes, I agree with what everyone else has said. Specifically, just making sure, I definitely agree that there are schools that need wraparound services. However, I do believe in partnering with the community in providing the wraparound services. I do attend a local church in the area that we have a community center, and we support the students in our community, and they provide a variety of services that supports the local neighborhood, from social services to clothing to food. And I think quite a few churches actually offer those services. And so really partnering with our faith-based organization in effort to provide some of those services as well for our students and families.
Thank you. The fifth question, and this one's a bit long, so I'm going to read it slow, and I'm happy to repeat it if y'all want. The board has only one employee, as y'all stated, the superintendent. As a potential board member, how are you prepared to manage that employee and hold him accountable to ensure our students receive an equitable educational experience, consistent achievement gains, and a healthy, safe environment for both learners and employees. I'm going to start with Board Member Pierce.
Thank you so much for that. We currently are doing that. We're holding our superintendent accountable as well as ourselves. We have collaborative conversations. He speaks to us, we speak to him, we talk to him constantly. We meet one-on-one periodically, maybe every couple of weeks, just to have thrash through some different types of things. He keeps us informed and abreast of different things. The importance of having that one employee is that we go to him to tell him what it is that's on our mind or different things that are coming from the community in terms of communication. It is then his responsibility to disseminate that information to whomever department it needs or person it needs to go to. We do, however, ask for him to just kind of give us a little update or summary. Has it been taken care of? Is there anything else that we can do? That type of thing. But normally, once something comes to us and we give it to him, our expectation is that he deals with it. And we, again, like I said, are holding each other accountable for every single thing that we're doing from this point forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
How do I expect to hold him accountable? I'm a teacher, so let's give him a progress report. Let's give him a report card. I need to check in with you, right? Are you meeting these goals? You know, what's going on? I plan on doing that. I think that's necessary. As a teacher, we know that we model, right? We model what is expected, right? And we give you support along the way. And I plan on doing the same thing in this position. Modeling, researching on my own as well, bringing ideas to the table, hashing it out together, and he's going to have a progress report and a report card, checking in on his goals. That's how I plan on to work this.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Yes, I agree with everything that's been said. It's critical to make sure that we are monitoring for progress. And I think we also need to make sure that everyone, again, needs to be held accountable, but we also need to be transparent to our stakeholders. And so when the information is presented, even, for monitoring that progress, sometimes it's helpful to have presentations where the community can actually see, okay, this is where we are on this project. This is what we're seeing here. This is the goal. These are the steps. And just making sure that we are allowing the community to see the progress that's being made in areas that they have of concern. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Priest-Brown.
I want to echo and ditto to all of the three ideas and feedback that the others provided. One of the things I would add is just thinking in terms of corporate, because that's the space that I worked most of my career in. I would, and I don't know, Ms. Pierce, how it's, if you guys do this, I would, in terms of frequency, I would want to meet with the superintendent as a board member or board members, I would say weekly, like a 30-minute check-in weekly. That's 52 times a year, 52 weeks, meeting with the superintendent. And then for hot topics, really hot topics, how are we doing, progress report, where are we with this, so forth and so on. And then, of course, quarterly with the superintendent, and then also meeting with his cabinet members too, for issues, hot issues or hot topics that he may not be able to answer. Just having those people at the table, round table meeting to get updated on certain issues. So those are the only things I wanted to add.
Thank you. Our sixth question from the audience. What are the candidates' views on book banning? I'm going to start with Ms. Wright.
I think censorship in the classroom limits the students' ability to critically analyze and engage with texts and concepts they need to engage with. And so the law is tricky. House Bill 1084 is tricky. I don't know about my other colleagues, but I know Tiffany and I have been very vocal and very in, figuring out how do teachers maneuver through all of this censorship. So I don't think books should be banned. I think books are a way for you to learn and explore and critically engage with concepts. So that is my feeling.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Yes, I hate to, banning books, it's a different time now. What I do believe, of course, we have to follow whatever the state policy is, whatever the law is, because, and do what's in the best interest of students under that law. And so whatever we have to do, I know we have to have a process in place and follow what the law states for us to do. My personal feelings, in terms of banning books, it hurts a little bit, but we will be in compliance. I'm a compliance person, so if we have to follow what the law is actually stating, but we will still try to do that what's in the best interest of the students, as stated by law. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Priest Brown.
Yes, I am totally against banning books in the schoolhouses, but I'm a compliant person, have been worked in auditing for many years. So I will be, compliant. But what I would recommend to students and parents is, extracurricular activities outside of schools, like, being a part of book clubs, because I had a book club for 25 years and we read over 275 books. So, I mean, I would, if they can't read it in the schools, they could definitely read it outside of the school. So reading is essential, it's fundamental. And yeah, that's my views on that.
Thank you. Board Member Pierce.
And thank you very much. And interesting questions and comments. Regarding book banning, again, my fellow candidates have spoken to that in terms of compliance. We didn't make the law, but the law exists. And because it exists, we are compelled to comply with it. And I would bring this statement to the table that says that the state, if we decide that we want to go against something that the state says is a law, then we put ourselves in a position to be removed by the state. So no one wants to have that done. So compliance is very, very tricky, but we must comply with what has been told to us to do. And if there's any way, well, talking to the person, perhaps if it's a group or parent or whatever that brings up a book particularly, it's the responsibility of the superintendent and his team to have a conversation with that individual or those individuals to see just exactly what their concerns are and work through it from that standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time, I believe, for probably 2 more questions. And so I'm going to read the next question. Oh, it jumped away from my chat, sorry. How can we improve student attendance on the high school level, being that attendance is linked to learning outcomes? I'm going to start with Ms. Hogan. I'm happy to repeat the question if you'd like.
I think for focusing on, well, the number one probably is taking a look at the outdated QBE formula and making sure that it addresses the need for as the poverty component to it. I think that needs to be focused on. The formula is extremely outdated and is not meeting the needs of some of the schools, our schools currently. And so I think that would be the top priority. Of course, always ensuring that our staff, teachers, are receiving their require or increasing their salaries. In addition to that, looking at our support staff in terms of funding their retirement, those would probably be my top 3 legislative priorities. Thank you.
Ms. Priest Brown.
Can you ask the question one more time?
Absolutely, I'm happy to.
Okay.
How can we improve? Where'd it go? Jumped away from me again. How can we improve student attendance on the high school level, being that attendance is linked to learning outcomes?
One thing, I don't think this is happening in DeKalb or in Georgia, state of Georgia. I don't know if we still have truant officers, because I know when I was growing up in New York, that was a big thing in terms of students skipping school. There was a lot of truant officers monitoring the cities and communities, back in New York. I think that would help tremendously. That's a hard one, because in terms of, you can't force a parent to tell their child that they have to go to school. I mean, you can, but it's just depending on that parenting style. So for me, I don't know, that's a very hard, that's hard. But I would say definitely add truant officers back to the school district, just to monitor areas where students may hang out during the day, and that's all I have for that. Yeah, that question.
Thank you. Board Member Pierce.
And thank you very much for that question. The attendance situation is not anything new, and I think all of us can agree to that. One of the things that we do is try to get to the root cause of the lack of attendance. Many times, some of our children are actually taking care of older adults. They're taking care of younger students. Attendance is a very, very tricky situation, and it's a very sensitive situation. So, of course, our counseling staff, our wraparound services teams, all of them, they talk to the students, try to do their best to get to the students and try to provide them with whatever is necessary. If it means that you have to do a virtual class or whatever the case, they will accommodate the student to the best of their ability, because we do know that attendance in school is one thing, but if you have family matters to contend with or work to contend with to keep that family going, we have to be sensitive to that. So it is a very concerning issue, but we are addressing those things, and I do appreciate the question very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Wright.
Attendance, if it's not due to some other issue, right? If it's just because students don't want to be there, and that's what I hear all the time from my students and my own biological kids who are A students, very smart. If the schools are not we need to reimagine schools. I've been studying Finland and how they set up their school structure. Our structure is outdated. It's time to dismantle the structure. That's why the children don't want to come. If we incorporate more joy, more playtime, more exploratory time, then maybe our students will be, and if we give them something that they really need, we don't even recognize the genius in our kids. Some of our kids are just getting this watered down curriculum. They're like, what? I don't need to be here. So we need to rethink this structure, rethink what we're teaching students, and just do this thing over again because it's not working.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan.
Yes, with the school attendance, I think I agree with everyone, specifically getting to the root cause of the issue. And I think we really need to take a look, really look at the data that we have, especially the students take a students' health survey at the end of the year, and it gives a lot of information. Or maybe the school district should give a survey out to the students just to assess what's going on with them, so that they can better support the needs of the students and meet them where they are, so that they can achieve and graduate from DeKalb County schools. So we have to find out what's going on, do a deep dive into the data that we have, and hopefully better aligned to our students' needs. Thank you.
Our last question tonight Every year, the board has an opportunity to present a top 5 wish list to the state legislature. What would be your top 3 initiatives you would suggest for inclusion in that list? I'm going to start with I'm going to start with Board Member Pierce.
And thank you very much, because we are very much active with the legislative priorities. And one of them is the retirement, the TRS and whatnot. We have advocated to our legislators that we would like to have them come up with some sort of a formula to include our cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers, mechanics, all of them, because they don't currently have anything like that. And we've been pushing that for several years. Also, the QBE funding to include a poverty clause or poverty inclusion, because that is not being taken into consideration. We also have where we would like to decrease the numbers of the caseloads of our social workers, our school counselors, and our school social workers. So we are actively engaged with them on a continual basis to let them know that we would like to see some changes, and we have to let them know early before the session starts, and we've been doing that. So those are my particular favorites, and I'll continue to advocate for them as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Wright?
TRS is major on my list. I've been watching it for a while now. So that would be my important one: culturally responsive teaching practices and pedagogy, and how that is set up. Dismantling all of these restrictive legislations we have in censoring teaching of the truth in the legislator. I would want to combat that. That would be a priority for me. Also, creating inclusive spaces for all students. That would be a priority for me as well.
Thank you. Ms. Priest Brown?
My 3 would be increased family engagement. I think that's very, very important, family engagement. Secondly, increase in the counselors, the number of counselors in the schools. And thirdly, this is like a pie in the sky, travel exploration. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, those were wonderful questions from the audience. Thank y'all so much for such great questions. It is time to begin our closing statements. I'm going to remind the candidates that y'all have 90 seconds. And I'm going to start with Board Member Pierce.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate being invited to participate in this forum. I do want to say that having and serving on the Board of Education right now during this time is extremely important to me. I am very excited about having had a hand in many of the opportunities that have come forward just since last year. I'm very excited about where we're headed. And I do believe one of our candidates mentioned reimagining, which is something that the superintendent he speaks about that constantly. We're on that same page. We've been traveling like the speed of a bullet train, I like to think, but all of us is ready for it. I am definitely ready for it. I will continue to advocate for students, our teachers, our families, everyone in DeKalb County, because I know we have the capability of being an outstanding district. We have had people coming in from other states to see what we're doing. That is something that we haven't had before. We've had people commenting and complimenting us on the teacher residency program, the paraprofessional to teacher residency program that so far has not been implemented in other states that I'm aware of. There are a lot of things that we're doing correctly. There are things that we can never maybe make up for, but there are some things that we can move forward from and move to the forefront and have other people following after us and asking us, how did you do that? How successful has that been? I believe in this district, and I will work hard, tirelessly as I always do, to continue to promote it to anyone who's willing to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wright?
All right. Well, I am Deidre with an A, y'all, because Deidre and I have very similar names. Both great women, but we're different.
Thank you. Thank you.
Deidre Wright for District 3. And I'm a parent, a teacher, a community activist. I've been passionate about this. I'm passionate about my community. I'm passionate about quality education. I'm passionate about equitable education. I'm passionate about figuring out how can we keep teachers, right? How can we support them? How can we ensure that schools are safe? How can we adjust and address curriculum issues and get new programming in to like truly benefit all of our babies? So that is who I am. Again, Deidre Wright. You can follow me on all of the social media platforms. I even have a TikTok. Yeah, you got to reach them where they are at. So I hope to follow you on this campaign. It's been a great joy to meet and hear from the community members, and I look forward to hearing even more. Again, Deidre Wright, the right choice for change.
Thank you. Ms. Priest Brown.
Yes, I want to say I am, parenting for me, it has been very important. I was able to work and make income and also, take care of my family, my husband and work in the community because of the type of job I had. It afforded me to do, alongside working community service. So I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for the opportunity to share with my community my accomplishments and professional journey with you all today that I've shared. These experiences have shaped me into the leader and advocate that I am, and I am deeply honored to have had the chance to serve my community in meaningful ways. My campaign focuses on bolstering literacy, promoting well-being for students and staff, ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion, maintaining staff retention, and supporting travel exploration. I'm committed to continuing my work in education, empowerment, and community engagement. And I invite each of you to join me in this endeavor. Even if whoever wins, I'm willing to work because I was working before this election and I'll be working after this election. Thank you once again for your support and for your opportunity to share my viewpoints and experiences related to DeKalb County School District. I humbly ask for your support and your vote on May 21st for Donna Priest Brown, District 5 Board of Ed. For additional information, please visit my website at dpriestbrown4boe.com. Again, dpriestbrown4boe.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job, candidates. Thank you so much for participating in tonight's forum. It's been wonderful and educational, and it's been lovely to listen to each one of you as you talk about education, and I can tell you're passionate. Oh, did I skip somebody?
And Ms.
Hogan?
Hogan, Tate Hogan,
Woo,
yes.
Ms. Hogan, we don't want to forget you. Come on.
Okay, sorry. That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to be here this evening. In closing, I just would like to say this. I do believe experience matters. At this point in DeKalb County school history, I believe personally that someone on the board, we need someone on the board who has intimate knowledge with K through 12 schooling. Not just textbook knowledge, but someone who's actually lived, walked in the shoes as a teacher, as an assistant principal, as support staff at the district level, and I've coached many school leaders across many school districts in the metro area. I am a professional. I am a person of integrity. I am committed to ensuring the students in DeKalb County schools receive a high quality education. The work that I've done in K-12 education and experiences that I've had make me the best candidate, I believe, for the DeKalb County School Board seat, District 5. I hope I can count on your vote so that together we can move DeKalb County schools to the next level. So I am Tiffany Tate Hogan, and I hope to be your next District 5 board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to close it up. Thank you guys so much. It's been lovely to hear from y'all. I'm passing it off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you so much for leading. this forum. Thank you all to all of our candidates for being here this evening. It's been absolutely wonderful to hear from you, to hear about your experience, to hear about your passion, and to hear about your platforms and what you are anticipating to do for the schools here in DeKalb. For anyone who is interested, please, the candidates have put their information into the chat as they've been speaking. Please take a moment to pull down that information. You can reach out to them if you have additional questions. In addition to that, if you are interested in learning more and participating more in the DeKalb County Board of Education meetings, they hold regular meetings at the Robert R. Freeman Administrative Complex at 1701 Mountain Industrial Boulevard in Stone Mountain. The meetings are also streamed live on the DeKalb Schools TV and on Comcast Channel 24 for DeKalb County subscribers. They also have a community input session at the beginning of those for individuals wishing to speak in person at the meeting, and requests for speaking should be made. That link is actually going to be put in our chat. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you to our moderator, Caroline, for doing such a great job moderating. And I am going to pass it back over to our special events leader, Steve Parker.
Thanks, Brandy, and thanks, candidates, for being here. It was great to hear from each of you. We had some really good audience questions. I was very pleased to hear your top 5 wish list for this role. So great forum. Thanks, everyone, particularly moderator Carolyn Allman, our technical crew for the night, Jeffrey Burdett, Amy Farrow, Paula Anderson, Leona Perry, Dr. Bola Tillman, Karen Davenport, and Steve Strasberg, who also helped us with research for our prepared questions. Of course, a special event subcommittee meeting and committee for planning these forums. We're all volunteers. We love to produce these programs. Our next virtual forum is next Wednesday, May 1st, when candidates for DeKalb County CEO will square off virtually at 6 p.m. By the way, we plan to have another forum closer to the November 5th election for candidates running in DeKalb County Commissioner District 3 and Super District 7. They're postponed until the November 5th election, but we will let our audiences hear from them on their issues. Also, some of our House districts are hosting meet and greets for candidates running for House representatives and senators in this May 21st election. If you're not sure of your current House district location, you can find that information at myvoterpage.com. And you can also connect with your House district chair at DeKalbDems.com. Go to the About Us page and you can see who's chairing each House district. It's very important to vote. Visit DeKalbDems.com, click on Make a Plan to Vote tab, and you'll see a full list of candidates and access to this and past recordings of these forums. May 10th is the last day to submit an absentee application for the May 21st election. And early voting begins April 29th. Please vote. It's very important now more than ever. We're also pleased to announce that our DeKalb Dems will be presenting our annual Leadership Legacy Award to Senator Gloria Butler and CEO Michael Thurman at our Blue Ballot reception on Saturday, June 22nd at the Emory Conference Center Hotel. We'll be announcing a special guest very soon. It's going to be a great evening. Proceeds support our Get Out the Vote effort, such as printing, signs, voter outreach programs, presenting candidate forums like this tonight, and engaging with diverse communities like we do when we participate in Tucker Juneteenth and at Atlanta Pride and other events and community activations. You can learn more about all of our programs at DeKalbDems.com. It is the place to learn everything about DeKalb Dems and how to vote. Thanks again, everyone, for being here tonight. We look forward to seeing you at other events. Hope to see you at our CEO forum next week. And we wish every candidate the best of luck in your campaign. And remember, when we vote in DeKalb County, we win in Georgia. Thank you all and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good night.
Night.